Yeah.
That round. Don't wanna.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think ultimately
Indians stopped using it because the ground was sour.
I don't know what the. I don't know.
It's the main accent. It's really hard to do the main
That's
accent.
a real hard one to do.
Don't want to go down that route.
What goes up there don't come back the same. That's for sure.
That's not bad.
All right, maybe they're both terrible.
We're
Hello, this is Between the Streams. This is our weekly podcast here where we talk about everything going on in the world of movies and entertainment. We are broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube right now, and we have a lot of. I know I say this every week. I always say we have a lot of stuff to get to, but we do have a lot of stuff to get to. Some big things happening in the world. Big deals that are happening right now. We are going to be covering, well, one, if you can tell by our voices at the beginning, a Stephen King reboot that's going to be happening that we just found out about. I mean, I guess we kind of knew, but we have some more information. We've got some information on John Wick. We've got some information on some Marvel franchises as far as Marvel Iron Fist 2, some casting. But more importantly, we've got two big things here that are happening right at the beginning, and that is this. We're going to be discussing Disney's potential buyout of Fox and what that means for the future of Marvel Comics and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that was a sneeze in the background. You do not need to adjust your sound for that one. And also, we're going to be talking about this. Quentin Tarantino, the rumors apparently are true, is in talks to direct an R-rated Star Trek movie.
We should say nothing is confirmed.
Nothing's
but
confirmed.
Deadline is reported, and it seems pretty locked in that not only has he been kicking around this idea, but he has brought it to Abrams and Paramount,
yes,
who owns the movie rights, not the TV rights to Star Trek. And both of them have agreed to his main condition, which is it must be an R-rated movie.
So let's get into this. I'm Greg Nibbler.
I'm Ryan Juanita.
And taking a look here on Facebook with our question that we put up, which was, are you excited about a R-rated Tarantino Star Trek movie? So far we've got Dennis writing in from Peru. Hello, Dennis. We've got Mark and Danny both say, hell no. Definitely not excited about it. And that's one of the things, when I first heard it, it seems really weird to have Tarantino doing a Star Trek movie because Star Trek movies, overall, they're about, questions about morality and, the state of the human condition and how do we interact with each other. And there's huge moral quandaries, ultimately, is what they're about. And Tarantino is about, stabbing people and foot fetishes.
Cool style.
I mean, there's more than that.
A lot of different kinds of cinematic, ideas and cinematography ideas and mashing them together and creating something new. He's about, he's about celebrating pulp, as Pulp Fiction came out, he was all about celebrating like the pulp comic thing. The sort of aversive styles of movies. He likes those dirty old school movies, which Death Proof was one. Those sort of B movies, the grindhouse theaters stuff. So he likes sort of like the gritty, the offside, style of film. So that's a weird thing, but his idea must be pretty good because J.J. Abrams said, let's do it. Yeah. And so we don't know if he's going to direct, but not only that, what we also got news of this week is that he is going to be working, or they have talked for hours, it sounds like, with 3 different really good screenwriters, one of which is Mark L. Smith, who wrote The Revenant. So
the Revenant writer could be writing this for Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek movie.
Starring...
there's so much. It's going to obviously Leonardo DiCaprio. We're going to get into the casting side of it here in a minute. And again, I want to hear what everybody thinks as you're tuning in on Facebook and YouTube. I'm seeing some questions. Kurt says no. I won't even read everything else he wrote. Definitely a no on that one. Matthew says, oh, that would be badass. Start talking about whether Tarantino, directing the Star Trek movie would be good. It would definitely be. I mean, Yeah, and Leanne is saying, no, you can't mess with Star Trek. And I think that's one of the other things is with the Star Trek fan base, like the hardcore Star Trek fans, and there is something to be said of how much influence do they still have on this franchise at this point.
Yeah, well, I think they have a lot of influence. I mean, Star Trek, the Trekkies helped sort of cultivate the whole Comic-Con vision, which is now not just an offset for, not just something offshot for nerds. It's like a powerful force in cinema. But now, on the other side, I have a friend who has been a Star Trek nut forever. He's also a huge horror fan, and the idea of a rated R movie that incorporates the Star Trek vibe is something he's very excited about. So there's a lot of different ways it could go. And what we wanted to kind of do is think about how it could come about.
Yeah.
I was just thinking it would be the normal actors that are already in the Star Trek franchise, but you had a different idea.
Yeah, I think the only way, to me, that you could make this work if you did an R-rated Star Trek movie is you would have
lots of gore, lots of
gore,
swearing,
violence, nudity, whatever comes along with the
all
Tarantino.
Sorts of colorful, back and forth.
Always foot fetishes. I mean, you would have to. I think in order to make that work, you would have to have it be an offshoot, almost like a Rogue One style thing, where most of the characters aren't involved with the rest of the franchise.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of cameos or something like that, but otherwise it's their own story. It's a Tarantino one would be like a group of smugglers who gets involved in something,
or just a lone Federation ship that gets lost through a wormhole and runs into some crazy stuff,
and they all end up dying at the end. Yeah. I mean, it'd have to be something like that. I think for them to be able to pull it off and not really piss off like the hardcore Star Trek fans and not mess with the actual canon of the main characters, but still be in the same universe.
Well, there's so many intriguing facets to this. Like, for one thing, he obviously has a really cool idea, which we've been talking about. So, and he's been kicking that around for a long time. For another thing, as we talked about in our post, he has 8 movies. He has 9th in the works. 8 movies, depending on how you do the math. We count Kill Bill as 1. We don't count. They basically
you only count Kill Bill as.
They count Kill Bill as 1 because he wanted to put it on the screen as 1, but people were like, no, you can't put a 4-hour movie on the screen, so they cut it up. And then he also co-directed From Dusk Till Dawn, so that's not counted in his canon or whatever.
Really?
Basically, yeah, it's not counted as his 10 features that he said he will retire afterwards.
So that's what he stated, is that
he said,
10.
I will retire after 10 features just so I can let my work sit on its own. So he has 8 in the can. He has a 9th about the Manson murders that he's working on.
And that one,
this would be his 10th movie were he to direct. Now, the other way it could go is he could produce it. It could be his story written from a script by possibly Mark L. Smith, who someone else would direct. That's another way to go. But he said he hopes he can direct it.
Okay.
It's kind of, I think that, I can't remember exactly what I read about this, but I think this has been something kicking around, from him for a long time. I think he's always been a Star Trek fan.
Probably people didn't take it seriously when it first came up. I mean, the concept is just so strange.
But you have to remember, and we've talked about this before, but this is another prime example that Deadpool has changed everything in Hollywood, and to some effect, just also it.
As far as being R-rated movies that are financially
know
successful.
That you can take an R-rated movie and make $750 million worldwide. That is unbelievable, especially off a movie that had a $50 million script.
Yeah.
A Star Trek is going to be more expensive, but you don't have to make a $250 million movie. You could make a $100 million movie, Star Trek, make it cool, make it gritty, and make money off it if you did it right.
But Deadpool, I mean, you're starting off from basically a blank slate.
Agreed.
And it was kind of always destined to be an R-rated
its own
movie.
thing.
Yeah, it's its own thing, too. So this is taking just such an established... I mean, Embiid likes making an R-rated Star Wars movie.
And it could take a swan dive, but you have to understand this is why Paramount is on board. Like, studios look at numbers.
They're willing to take the risk now.
They're willing to take the risk. Also, it's Tarantino. He's royalty. Also, Abrams is on board. You're not just going to get Abrams on board. Some people don't maybe like his style. I think he's one of the best, at least producers, and also one of the best filmmakers around right now. So if he's on board... I don't know. I think that it at least has some very intriguing possibilities, and I'm certainly not willing to say it's not going to work without knowing what it is, because they know something we don't know. They know the idea.
Yeah, and that's true.
I like your thoughts on this sort of Rogue One offshoot type of film.
And I think
make it subversive, make it different, and tie it in loosely to the franchise, but use that space epic just as sort of a launching point from whatever.
Well, and technically, I mean, you have an entire universe, you know, that you can use. It could
Wormholes,
be a
who knows?
Ferengi thing or
yeah,
something.
Especially
you know,
if you dig up some of the old series ideas.
Or use Q.
STNG. You can take ideas from that. You don't know. Yeah, Q.
And that is one thing for Star Trek The Next Generation. Patrick Stewart has come out and said he would love to come back to the franchise as Jean-Luc Picard.
He's always said he wouldn't come back, but he recently said, once he heard this, that this is the only thing that could bring him back as Jean-Luc Picard. Now, in no way do we think that this is possibly tied to STNG, Star Trek Next Generation.
Right.
But that's really cool that Patrick Stewart's just the coolest.
Well,
let's just be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's really cool that he would want to come back. He said he's always wanted to work with Tarantino.
Yeah, his quote was, but one of my dreams is to work with Tarantino. I admire his work so much, and to be in a Tarantino film would give me so much satisfaction. So if he's going to direct something to do with Star Trek, and there was the possibility of dear old Jean-Luc showing up again and doing that for Mr. Tarantino, I would embrace it. So,
yeah, and I have to admit, too, that
power.
Tarantino is, one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. So I'm more on board than some. But it's funny that we got so many antis immediately.
A lot of no's.
Because I wasn't sure about that.
And that's what I think, if you're a hardcore Star Trek fan, I don't think they're going to want you messing with,
the format.
Yeah. The moral quandary, solve it, working together, those kinds of things. And that's not a very Tarantino kind of concept.
Yeah, well, we were joking about this. Drew, who sits across from me in the office, runs our cool tech session, was like, it's just going to be one group of people in the ship. It's going to be a bottle episode, just like Hateful Eight, but it's going to be in a spaceship.
Yeah, there's like,
people
different
beam
kind of
in
character
from the outside.
Yeah, different one, like the old rugged captain who was disgraced, who's back there. And, exactly.
Could do it in like a Star Trek bar, like a
galley
galley bar.
I mean, if you can get number one back in there too, then all right, I'm definitely on board with this. So
I just think it's exciting to even imagine the possibilities, let alone what's going to happen, and just the fact that it's being sort of fast tracked is crazy.
I mean, but at this point, then what else? What other directors are all of a sudden going to be wanting to do Star Trek?
Yeah,
movies?
weren't you saying like maybe we should do a Wes Anderson?
Yeah, Wes Anderson Star Trek.
Really
Jean-Luc dusted off his models that he had created. Yeah, so we can have everybody doing one. Everybody gets a Star Trek movie.
I think we could talk about this for a very long time, but I think it's exciting and it's cool. It's just cool that we live in a time when movies like this could be made
in a world.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, there's a lot of parody. There's a lot of stuff happening out there that's all sequels. It's all franchise, and while this would be franchise, what a way to shake it up. I mean, we love the Logans, the Deadpools. I mean, it's the idea of taking, a very, very worn format and bending it and putting some hybrid in there and turning it into something more, something new, while still keeping the same feeling.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, that's what some people have some worries about. If Disney were to take on Fox and then own the X-Men franchise, would we still get movies like Logan? Or would they all have to perfectly be pulled into this MCU sort of format where everything has a little bit of the same?
Great segue, and got to give kudos to that.
It's a $60 billion buy that they could do for this.
So let's talk about this. So Star Trek, please keep dropping in your opinions on there. Let us know what you think of this, or if you have ideas for a Tarantino Star Trek movie, if you're excited or not. But let's move on and talk about this. The other big news that's coming out this weekend. Again, the deal is not final, but it's rumored that it's getting close.
Well, what was interesting is, we talked about this a while ago, but it was just very rumored, and now it's like, oh, well, actually talks are engaged. When we talked about before, the talks were not even ongoing.
Yeah, and it's that Disney is looking to buy 21st Century Fox as far as their movie and television properties.
Most of the properties. What would remain at Fox would be news and business divisions, the actual broadcast network, because Disney would not be allowed to own both ABC, for those who don't know, and Fox. They would own 2 of the 4 major broadcast networks. That would not be allowed by the FCC, I'm pretty sure.
But the important part that we're interested in is owning the rights to all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe characters that are owned by Fox, which is X-Men, Deadpool, everything but Spider-Man and the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so it would be Disney taking over those, which means, in theory, you could bring all those characters into the current Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has been a dream, for a lot of people, is to bring X-Men into this world.
And on that note, I believe, I'm not sure which report I saw, but Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool himself, was tweeting about this, and he said, what the fudge is that going to mean for Deadpool?
Yeah.
Fudge being the operative word. Would Disney make everything PG-13? Would they disallow, as we said at the beginning here, would they disallow little projects like Logan? I was reading this piece about this, and the idea is like, as chaotic as Fox's X-Men universe is, they still have sort of some freedom to sort of screw around with it.
Yeah.
That's why Deadpool happened. That's why Logan happened. Even though Logan, uses Patrick Stewart, it doesn't really lock in with all the other X-Men movies.
It's its own thing.
And you've got the Days of Future Past thing. You've got the new X-Men.
I don't like Days of Future Past.
You've got the new Magneto, new Professor X and the old ones. There's just a lot of chaos there. But it also allows for more creativity, whereas where Disney, it's all locked together and beautifully smoothed over, but you wouldn't be able to have those kind of,
all that alternate
kind of
universe
creative
stuff,
freedoms.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing with that, though, if Disney did get control of them, and this is what some of the people at Disney were talking about this as for Marvel, like Phase 4, down the road, after the Avengers movies and when it continues on with this kind of new cast of characters.
For which we have heard there's going to be at least 20 films.
Yeah. To at least 20 films.
After Avengers Infinity War.
And there's going to be a marked difference between the last Avengers movie, which is in 2019, and I believe, right, Avengers 4,
I think that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, is 2019, and between before that and after that. So you could, down the road, start bringing in these X-Men, recast them, start them off as different characters. And,
yeah, I mean, you could do all kinds of things.
And slowly put that into this whole Avengers universe, which opens up a ton of things.
It also opens up more questions. I mean, how many superheroes can you deal with in the MCU?
Because X-Men is almost unlimited.
How many ways can you turn? Do you have to start doing what comics do and create alternate universes for these things to live in? Do you have to create an alternate universe for a Logan project to happen? Or is that even going to be allowed by Disney? Does Disney even allow rated R movies to happen from its studio? I don't think we've seen one. At least not that I can think of that's a major property like that.
Right.
Maybe through some, smaller company they own. But it's interesting because you think about it, they bought the Marvel Studios, I think, for something like $3 or $4 billion.
Oh yeah, it's like
they bought
steal in
Lucasfilm for what, maybe $3 billion or
like that.
$5 billion, maybe at the most.
Yeah.
This is a $60 billion deal, and it still seems like kind of a steal for all the properties that they're going to get. But
of what
man, did they steal Lucasfilm, if you think about it.
All the Star Wars properties for that, for $3-4 billion, whatever it was.
Or all the ones they still hold on to.
Yeah.
That gets complicated, but yeah.
Yeah, that is, in hindsight, genius. Absolutely genius for what they've done. So
if you got $3 billion sitting around,
you got to think if they got a hold of it.
Do with it.
And so far, they've done really good with their movies. Maybe they can figure out how you would mesh all of that into one big, giant, messy universe.
And this is also going to have implications, and we don't have to talk about this forever, but this is going to have implications for their streaming service, which they hope to spin off all of their properties by 2019 to be in a Disney-only streaming service.
Yeah.
They want to make a Star Wars TV show. All kinds of crap they got in the works.
Lots of possibilities.
But this Fox buy would really change the game when it comes to that kind of stuff.
So what we were talking about, just to kind of wrap that up before we have to move on to some other things too. And again, if you have questions, comments, drop them in there. Edward says, I like the idea of multiple cinematic universes at the same time. Just use different actors to keep it straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. But that's the idea of Disney buying Fox's rights to their most of their entertainment properties, but specifically the Marvel characters that they don't have currently. So
they've been wanting to lock them all in. You know, Sony would be the lone holdout at that point.
Yeah, you're right. And I think I misspoke earlier. Sony has the other Spider-Man characters that are not.
Well,
other
and
than
Sony
Spider-Man.
Still owns Spider-Man. They just
They're
lease him out to the MCU.
Yeah, but they're making their own set of movies with Venom and all those.
They're
other
making
movies.
sort of a darker villain-filled universe,
right?
With possibly Venom, who is going to be played by Tom Hardy. For those who don't know, as the sort of anti-hero of sorts.
Okay.
Because Venom has sort of played both sides. Like, he was definitely Spider-Man's nemesis, but then he kind of, like, I think somewhere in the comics he becomes good-esque.
Okay.
So we think that maybe that's the way they're going to go with that, but it's hard to tell.
All right. So, yeah, and Edward just posted also. So when does Disney buy Sony? Disney's going to own everything. And then and then Amazon and Disney are going to fight it out in an alley. And
you got to remember, Sony's a little bigger than Fox. They have an entire electronics wing, which does pretty well for itself as well.
That's true. That's true.
PS4 and the like. like.
Yeah, whatever. All right, let's get on and talk about some other things. So we are going to cover just a couple of movies at the box office. We have some Stephen King news. We've got some more Marvel news as far as their Netflix series. We've got some really cool casting news, I think cool. And so we're going to discuss all of that. Keep on dropping in your comments, Facebook and YouTube. Let us know. We did get a very big trailer that came out last night.
Yeah, what did you think of this?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Well, let's discuss it. It's for Jurassic World, the new Jurassic World movie that's called Fallen Kingdom. It's coming out June 22nd, 2018, and we finally got a trailer taking a look at it, and when we got what the basic premise is, because that had been a lot of speculation on what they were going to do, and here's what it is. This is officially their premise that they posted. It's been 4 years since theme park and luxury resort Jurassic World was destroyed by dinosaurs out of containment. Isla Nublar now sits abandoned by humans while the surviving dinosaurs fend for themselves in the jungle. When the island's dormant volcano begins roaring to life, Owen and Claire mount a campaign to rescue the remaining dinosaurs from this extinction-level event. And then it turns out, of course, there was some secret, nefarious thing going on the entire time, and they discover it while they're on there, and that's where we're at. So they go back to the island. Nobody's been living there. The dinosaurs have taken over, and there's a volcano that's going to erupt.
They got to go save Blue.
They got to go save... Oh, yeah, Blue. Yeah, that's right. His pet velociraptor.
Yeah,
sure.
Which seems like... Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
I liked Jurassic World. I didn't think it was amazing or anything, but I reviewed it. I gave it a good review. I thought it was fun, and I definitely thought it was the best sequel since the original. That's not saying a lot, but still, I enjoyed it. It was pretty fun. A lot of people like to talk trash about it. I think part of that is sort of the Christopher Nolan effect where, it's so popular or it makes so much money that you have to trash on it, and that's fine. Or maybe you just don't like the movie. I get it.
Yeah.
This one looks about the same to me. I think it's going to be fun. I don't think it's going to blow anyone's minds. It's like the effects look good, and it'll be explosions and crazy dinosaur action.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I am not a writer for Hollywood, but I can't think of where you really go with this. So it's like, okay, yeah, we'll make the island blow up. They got to rescue the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's a little it's very divisive. It's the MacGuffin type thing where it's like, oh, well, the island will blow up. That'll get them back there.
I can already tell you how it's going to end, though.
How's that?
They're going to rescue a bunch of the dinosaurs. They're going to escape out of containment, and they're going to go out into the world, and now we have dinosaurs everywhere.
And then we have Jurassic World.
And then we have Jurassic World 3. Yep. Dinosaurs take over everything.
Yeah, that sounds
how
about
it
right.
works.
But we did get to see Goldblum coming back.
That's one key thing. Yes, Jeff Goldblum is
for
in
my
the trailer.
Goldblum-assance.
Yes, as Ryan has officially declared it. I'm going to give he deserves credit for it that we are in the era of a Goldblum-assance.
That's correct.
His coined term for the return of Jeff Goldblum. So yeah, Jeff Goldblum will be back in it, and I mean as cheesy as it is,
he did use the life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Life really does. Finds a way.
Chaos.
As I said before, you may have remembered this previously. Life finds a way. But I'm excited. I think it'll be fun. I'm not gonna be blown away by this. I don't think.
Yeah.
But I'll go watch it.
I'll watch it.
Damn straight.
I'll watch some dinosaurs.
You know what I watched last night? I had been meaning to watch it forever. Kong Skull Island. It's not an amazing film, but damn it, is Kong breathtaking. I mean, they can finally do it, man. He looks real.
I did finally watch this myself as well.
I was kind of blown away. And every time Kong comes on screen, he steals the scene. Obviously, he's a 150-foot tall monster or whatever, so that kind of makes sense. But I was sort of blown away by how great he was. I was sort of Samuel L. Jackson's character is so thin. I know I'm not trying to give a review here in the middle. I know it's an old movie,
we're going to Kong
but I'm
Skull
just
Island,
saying the point is like these monster movies are fun. It's just good old fashioned monsters, and the CG is finally there. I think Jurassic World 2 will be fun in that same vein. It's just cool to see this stuff happen.
Yeah,
and I was just blown away what they can do now with a humongous gorilla.
Blown away.
It was pretty cool, man.
All right, well, that is where we're at. So Jurassic World trailer, you can take a look at that if you're listening via podcast. We've got a link, I'm sure, on the site that you can check it out and find out everything about Jurassic World. We're going to get to the Stephen King remake news that we're going to talk about here in a minute, a few other things. But at the box office this weekend, Disaster Artist still out. We talked about that last week. Apparently now it's just a wider release this week.
Yeah, they keep saying it's being released. It's been around for a while.
But. So you can check that out, and we talked all about that one last week. But one that is getting released this week that does hit close to home here, we're in Portland, Oregon, and it has to do with Tonya Harding, who is Portland's sweetheart.
Is she, though?
Yeah, she's Vancouver's sweetheart.
I don't know if that's true either.
No, she's not. But she was from around here. And if you know the story of Tonya Harding, the disgraced Winter Olympian, who ice skater.
She puts out a cigarette with her skates.
Yes. So the movie is finally out this weekend. I did see where Tonya Harding went to the premiere.
Wow.
And posed with Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Next to her. Margot Robbie.
It's getting really good reviews too.
Yeah. Supposedly it's a dark comedy is how they went with it.
Yeah.
Is kind of the route which you have to do.
Yeah. Totally.
And so yeah, it's called I, Tonya. It is out this weekend. I'm honestly really excited to see this.
Yeah, you've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like Margot Robbie.
You're a big Margot Robbie
I'm a Margot guy. But Sebastian Stan also in it.
He's great.
Yeah, I think he's playing Jeff Galooly, her husband.
Yeah, because that's what that guy looks like.
Yeah, you can probably scruff him up and make him look.
It is Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Margot Robbie's playing Tonya Harding.
I know. No,
let's be
get
honest.
it. I get
Let's
it.
be honest here. Allison Janney, Bobby Cannavale's in it as well. So
yeah.
It's a good cast.
And frankly, if you haven't seen all the movies out, we talked about it last week, there's like at least 5 movies right now in theaters that are above the 90%.
If you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok yet, see that.
Gotta see that. But, of course, you can't take it for granted that if it's super high on Rotten Tomatoes, that it's the most amazing movie. But it just means that all of them are pretty much universally liked. So there's a lot of good movies out there to see. And this apparently is another one.
All right, there we go. I, Tonya, go check that one out right now. All right, so let's go on
What's
to...
going on over
Sorry,
there?
Dan, our producer, just sent me an image for the Jurassic World movie called Raptor Squad with Chris Pratt and a bunch of raptors. I like that idea, too.
All
right, so bouncing
Maybe
on
that's
here.
for the third.
Yep, there we go. So let's talk about Stephen King movies, which Stephen King is also in a bit of a renaissance himself.
I don't have a clever word for that.
Yeah, okay, you'll have to come up with one. You already, well, I mean, you exhausted yourself with Goldblum.
It really, that tired me out.
Do after that?
I had to take a few days.
So we're going to have a never-ending string of Stephen King movies forever.
Correct.
And now we're starting to remake some of the old ones, and that includes Pet Sematary.
It's been happening since the 70s. I don't know why it would stop now.
That's true. So Pet Sematary, getting a remake. They officially set a date, a release date for it, April 19th, 2019.
And you know the real problem with this movie is it made an entire generation of kids spell cemetery incorrectly.
Yeah, I know. It does always drive me crazy. Yeah, it's spelled so wrong.
That's like the whole point, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a really, it's a classic movie.
How do you feel about it?
It has a very strange vibe. Like, it's fun to watch. How do I feel about the reboot?
Yeah, how do you feel about Pet Sematary getting a
I
reboot?
think that it's, not a great idea.
Yeah?
I think it's about as good of an idea as creating a sequel to it when there was no book sequel. I think that it'll probably be fine. I don't think it's going to be as crappy as like the Flatliners reboot that just had no reason to exist whatsoever. But it's a famous property. I guess it'll be okay.
I just don't know. I just don't think it's necessary. I mean, I don't think that you can
absolutely unnecessary.
You can't recreate Judd, and I'm blanking on the actor's name because he's so great in it. Don't go up there.
That route.
What goes up there don't come back the same. God, we do such bad impressions of him. Like, it's so terrible.
I love it so much.
I know, but it's so much fun to do.
Down that route.
Oh boy. Sometimes
and
what's dead ought to stay dead.
He's basically the villain because he keeps pushing them.
Yeah, that's my idea.
He does show him the Pet Cemetery. Which, why would you do that?
No, Judd is the villain.
He knows it's terrible.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, don't bury your pets up there. Of course
I'll
they're gonna go bury
you how.
but I'll show you what not to do. Don't do that. Sometimes what's dead ought to stay dead.
It's that classic horror movie where they do things they totally should never do. It makes no logical sense, but hey,
exactly
something bad's got to happen or we don't have a movie.
Exactly. So Pet Sematary getting a remake. That's going to be coming out on April 19th, 2019. You can take a look at that. All right, getting into some of the other stuff that we wanted to talk about here before we wrap up for the day. We do have some casting news for Iron Fist I wanted to talk about. John Wick 3, though. We got a release date for that, which is going to be May 17th, 2019. So big year, 2019.
And good for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, exactly.
We're
pro Keanu on
really
this show.
nice guy from all accounts. He got a lot of crap after The Matrix. He didn't make a lot of good movies for a while.
I mean, he seems like he'd be fun to hang out with.
I think because Matrix 3 wasn't so hot.
Yeah.
Did
you know he makes? I saw some random show about Keanu. He makes custom motorcycles now. He's got a custom motorcycle company, and that's what him and his buddy do.
Well, never feel bad for him because he has like $350 million like sitting in the bank, and he's
feel bad at all for
his
him.
life is pretty great. But
I'd go have a beer with Keanu Reeves.
I'm always excited to see him in good stuff, and John Wick is great. I will keep watching these movies. The other great feel-good story about the John Wick movies is the first one was directed by two former stuntmen, and that's why the choreographing is so fantastic. So that's always fun to see. And we think, I think Stahelski will be returning possibly to direct, though we don't have a confirmation on that yet. All
right. So John Wick 3, May 17th, 2019. A couple of other things to get to. I don't even know how to broach this other one. I'll just say Bohemian Rhapsody, which is the Freddie Mercury movie that we've been waiting for a long time.
Yeah, and then we had this crazy thing happen where the director, Bryan Singer, just disappeared.
Yeah, and it's been in production. Rami Malek's going to play Freddie Mercury. He looks amazing as him. And yeah, Bryan Singer, who's the director, just disappeared. And
a lot of us had been hearing things about Bryan Singer for a long time, so we kind of
not good.
Had an idea. It's another one of these. I think this is a Harvey Weinstein level situation as far as the acts that he is being accused of and his power, his seat of power in Hollywood. He's a huge producer, known for the X-Men movies and all kinds of stuff. So this is just a terrible thing.
I mean, I don't know where the legality goes with this, but what he's being accused of is absolutely
good.
Awful.
But so they brought in
he's out.
They brought in what we think is a new director in Dexter Fletcher.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like he is signed on. From what I was seeing.
So it sounds like the movie is back on pace.
So that's good.
So that's a good thing.
So we'll still get to have that movie.
And oddly enough, the Kevin Spacey movie that he got pulled out of, and Ridley Scott had to actually do all the reshots with Christopher Plummer. Is still on pace to premiere December 25th.
That's crazy.
You remember we didn't hear about this stuff until like last month.
That's crazy.
And somehow Ridley Scott pulled off like the impossible. I don't know.
That's nuts.
It'll be really interesting to watch that movie too.
We've got a little bit about Ridley Scott coming up too. We're going to talk about. So just a couple more things here. Also some Game of Thrones news. I did want to bring this up for Marvel, the Netflix Cinematic Universe fans.
Yeah.
Iron Fist was not the most popular of them, but Iron Fist Season 2 is going ahead. So you are going to get an Iron Fist Season 2.
And show favorite, Alice Eve.
Alice Eve. Alice Eve
between the streams fan or between the streams favorite. I don't think she's a fan.
Quite popular on this. So Alice Eve has been cast in they didn't say specifically what the role is, but obviously a major role for her to be in it. So she'll be in Iron Fist Season 2. And some of the other things we found out are who some of the other actors are that are coming back. Joy Meacham is going to be back. Joy and Ward. So both of the Meachams will be back in Iron Fist Season 2. You do get to have Colleen Wing will be in there. Misty Knight will be in there. And also, we're going to get Luke Cage. So Luke Cage will be in it. And that's the team up that I really
is what everybody's been waiting for.
Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
The whole reason Iron Fist is around is so Luke Cage can have his buddy.
Yep. Luke Cage can have his buddy, and they can, hang out together.
Go punch stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll punch stuff together.
They're punching pals. That's what we'll call that.
That's exactly right.
So Iron Fist Season 2, Alice Eve joining the cast of that. A couple more things here. Game of Thrones, just a quick note about that. Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa, I don't know whether she was supposed to do this or not, but she pretty much spilled the beans on when the final season's going to come out. And it's not next year. It's 2019 that we're going to have to wait for the final season of Game of Thrones.
I kind of figured that. I thought they said it was going to be 2 years anyway. So.
Yeah, kind of guessed it, but still, it's just so long
away.
Well,
they want to hold it out as long as they can, and they figure they can shove in Westworld too, while we're doing it. And Westworld too, I liked Westworld. I thought, at times it had some strange choices as far as dialogue and things like that, but I always liked the story. It was cool. Anthony Hopkins was really fun in it, of course. But they have this whole new wealth of stories they can tell with all these different worlds that we think they're going to start mixing in. So that could be cool. So I guess that will keep us satiated for the last chapter.
Well, Game of Thrones 2019. Quick thing on Westworld. Actually, their production's delayed right now because of the fires in L.A. So who knows what's going to happen with that.
Which is
apparently it's right where they filmed.
Awful. I mean, that is just running people out of their houses.
Yeah.
So that's not great.
So that's not good. Let's talk about a couple more things here before we wrap up. And again, let us know your thoughts on the Tarantino Star Trek movie. We still will circle back around and talk about that before we end. But speaking of Ridley Scott, and I just wanted to bring this up because I know there's a lot of fans of Alien and Aliens and the whole franchise out there. But he gave an interview where talking about the future of the franchise and where they go, and his was basically he wants to start phasing out out of Aliens. So
which
he wants
I
to
think
start
we'd heard a little bit
out.
about this before, but he keeps going forward with it.
Yeah,
and he's all about the AI now. That's his new thing.
Transitioning towards just having AI as being the main thing, and the xenomorph really isn't in it as much as what they want to do.
Yeah, I don't know
what he wants to do.
I'm not really. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of done with Aliens movies. I don't, I saw Prometheus and I liked it all right. I saw Covenant and I liked it all right. I don't know what more you can do to add to this franchise.
Yeah.
I think at this point you're getting diminishing returns on each movie and frankly, not doing great things for the franchise.
So no on that.
It's not Alien 3, and Neil Blomkamp, he's still working on an Alien movie too. Let's not forget the District 9 guy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
That's still happening, I think.
All right. Well, so anyway, Ridley Scott wants to get rid of the aliens. So finally, let's get to this one thing. And I know Ryan has some very hard thoughts on this here. So this is
actually, it's the other way. I just don't care.
Okay, so Ryan doesn't care. So for a lot of people, if you've been watching Riverdale, and I know some people who've watched Riverdale. I've watched a little bit of Riverdale. It's not really my thing.
Okay, that's okay then.
But it's on Netflix. Well, it's on Netflix right now, but actually originally aired, I believe, on CW is where it's from. But
so it's good.
Most people have been watching it on Netflix, and it's Archie. Archie Cunningham, only it's a darker version of Archie where weird things happen in the city of Riverdale, and
what we've all been asking
Archie's
for.
all ripped and like buff and stuff, and like sleeping with his teacher apparently. So it's weird. That's true. That's in the series. So Archie is having their own thing, and now Sabrina the Teenage Witch is getting a remake series on Netflix. And I guess, and I didn't realize this, that Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Archie are in the same universe, and there's talk now of making a whole Archieverse of characters related to Archie.
I mean, you know what this sounds like? It sounds like when they made 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was, I believe, a Blacklist script that they sort of readapted to work in the Cloverfield franchise.
Oh, okay.
These shows sound like somebody just had an idea for like a high school, and then they're like, well, I bet if we called it Riverdale, we could sell it. Well,
Riverdale was an actual graphic novel series.
Yeah, okay. Then I don't know what I'm talking about. I just have no interest in this.
I just like to hear that impression again. Whoa.
I don't know. Okay, so then if it comes from a graphic novel, I guess that means that it's got a little bit more play. But I don't know. I just don't care.
Okay.
Obviously, because I didn't do my homework and I didn't even know that. So that's how much I care.
What if we call it? Okay. So Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Sorry, guys. If you like it, I apologize.
Well, it's already approved for 2 10 episodes.
As long as it's not being made by Greg Berlanti, it might be all right.
Well, there it is. That's your Archieverse may be happening. All right. Well, to wrap up this episode again, talking about the Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie, I'm definitely excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
And who they get cast in it. And
and half the fun about this is we get to find out the little details along the way.
Yeah.
And sort of watch this unfold. It could all collapse in front of us. We still don't have confirmation. But you know, as this goes on,
it's looking likely.
We will slowly start to learn what his big idea was and how this will come about. So I'm just excited to take that ride, let alone watch the movie.
Absolutely. Well, there we go.
I am a Tarantino fan.
Yes, he is. I don't know what that meant.
Sort
I just
of like
him
all.
that way. Okay. All right. Fan of the whole catalog. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is Between the Streams. Again, we're live every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific on Facebook and YouTube, and then up as a podcast that you can subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts. So subscribe to that. Send us an email, podcast@digitaltrends.com, and let us know your thoughts on this. If you have ideas for a Star Trek movie or how you think this should work with Tarantino, I'd love to hear them.
Or if you're just angry about it.
Or just, if you're just ticked off. A lot of people are angry about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are angry.
A lot of anger.
Michael, I think, from the beginning of the show, not happy about it. You let us know.
Not stoked.
So let us know in the comments right there. And again, thank you so much for tuning into this. We love doing this show every week. We'll be talking about everything else. Oh, is next week Star Wars?
It's Star Wars week.
I'm seeing it on Thursday night.
Yes, I'm going to try to.
Okay.
I didn't get to.
All right. So next week is Star Wars week. So join us back here for that next week, Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific. And we'll see you then with another episode of Between the Streams.